Leo swiped at the dry, sun-baked dust, his eyes locked on the shimmering heat haze rising from the horizon. The savannah was silent, save for the rhythmic twitch of his tail. Suddenly, a blur of movement darted through the tall grass. Mimi skidded to a halt, scrambling up his shoulder with frantic energy. She dropped a heavy, crinkled scrap of parchment directly onto his nose. It smelled of damp earth and something far older. Leo peeled the paper away and flattened it against the ground with one large, blunt claw. A trail of ink, glowing with a soft, pulsing blue light, wound across the surface like a living vein. It traced a path through the brush, past the jagged ridges, and ended at a symbol he had only heard of in whispers, the Crystal Waterfall. The map seemed to vibrate under his touch, the blue ink shifting as if urging him forward. Leo looked at the horizon, then back at the map. He did not blink. He did not hesitate. He swiped the parchment into his mouth, gripped the edge firmly, and stood up. Mimi chattered, leaping to his side as they turned their backs on the familiar plains and stepped into the tall, swaying grass toward the unknown. The tall grass gave way to the dense canopy, where the air grew thick with the sound of panic. High above, a family of birds circled a patch of broken branches. Leo stopped. He watched the nest tumble to the forest floor, shattering into a mess of twigs. He did not look at the map. He looked at the birds. He used his heavy paws to drag fallen branches into a stable pile, while Mimi darted around, gathering soft moss to weave the structure back together. They worked in silence, adjusting the alignment until the nest was secure. When the birds returned, Leo moved on. By midday, the terrain shifted to a deep, sun-scorched sand pit. A tortoise lay trapped on its back, legs kicking uselessly against the air. Leo braced his shoulders against the hard shell, digging his heels into the grit. He pushed with everything he had, while Mimi used her small hands to clear the loose sand beneath the tortoise. With a final heave, the animal rocked forward and flipped onto its feet. They stood for a moment, watching the tortoise crawl away. The map was still in Leo's grip, but his focus had shifted. It was no longer just about the destination. It was about the path they were clearing. The path hit a wall of rushing water, a river swollen with recent rain. Leo dragged a heavy, waterlogged log across the gap, creating a bridge that groaned under their combined weight. They crossed, but the ground on the other side felt wrong. The air went still, then turned heavy and cold. Above, the sky bruised into an ink-black mass that swallowed the light. A crack of thunder vibrated through the mud beneath them. Then the wind struck. It came in howling gusts, tearing leaves from trees and sending branches whipping through the air like projectiles. Mimi shrieked and scrambled for cover, pressing her body into the sharp angle of a granite rock. Leo did not hesitate. He lunged toward her, planting his feet wide against the sliding earth. He leaned his body over her, forming a wall against the gale. Debris pelted his back, but he did not move. He grit his teeth, eyes squinted against the stinging rain, and nudged her forward with his head every time the wind relented. They crawled through the chaos, step by agonizing step, until the violent roaring finally thinned. The sky cracked open, revealing a sliver of pale light. They stood up, soaked and trembling, and pushed forward into the silence. A trail of glowing butterflies pulsed through the brush like living embers, leading them deeper into the thicket. Leo followed, his breath hitching as the trees finally parted. Before them, the crystal waterfall tumbled down, shattering into a pool that shimmered with an unnatural, pure light. Amara the elephant stood at the water's edge, her trunk resting on the surface, creating ripples that caught the sun. She did not look surprised to see them. As they approached, She turned her head, her movements slow and deliberate. "You have come a long way for water," she rumbled, her voice vibrating in the air like deep thunder. Leo looked at the pool, then back at his own calloused paws. Amara gestured with her trunk, pointing toward the path they had walked, tracing the memory of the birds, the tortoise, and the bridge they had built. "The water is just water," she said, her eyes fixed on them with piercing clarity. The true power was not in the destination, but in the hands that reached out to help along the way. Leo stood silent. He looked at Mimi, then back at the waterfall. The rush of the water no longer felt like a prize to be claimed, but a reflection of the journey that had already changed who they were. The return journey felt shorter, though the path remained the same. Leo and Mimi walked side by side, their movements synchronized. They passed the spot where the birds nested and the sand pit where the tortoise had been trapped. These were no longer just obstacles to overcome, they were milestones of their own growth. Leo stopped for a moment, looking at the sturdy branches he had stacked. He realized then that the map was not a guide to a place, but a mirror reflecting what he was capable of doing for others. He felt the weight of his own potential, not as a predator, but as a guardian of the savannah. As they reached the edge of the home territory, the familiar scent of the pride air filled his nostrils. He did not slink back into the shadows. Instead, he stepped into the clearing with his head held high, his gaze steady and calm. He scanned the pride, not looking for prey, but ensuring their safety. The journey had ended, but the change within him was permanent. He was no longer just a cub wanting to see the horizon. He was a protector who understood that the true strength of the land lived in the hands that shielded it.